Fox News. Breaking news.
Tim Walz just got absolutely destroyed on Capitol Hill, and folks, what came out of that hearing room today is worse than anyone imagined. We're talking billions in stolen taxpayer money, a massive fraud ring operating right under the governor's nose. And get this, whistleblowers are now claiming they were threatened by his own administration, their children tracked, their careers destroyed, all for trying to expose the truth. Jim Jordan had Walz stammering, caught in lies, and even got corrected by his own state court for spreading false information. This isn't just incompetence, America. This looks a whole lot like a cover-up. And wait until you hear why they allegedly let it all happen. And here's why this matters to you, patriots. We're not talking about a few $1,000s that slipped through the cracks. We're talking about a fraud scheme so massive that Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett reminded everyone that the stolen money exceeds what his entire state budget used to be. That's your hard-earned tax dollars ripped away from American families and funneled to criminals, and it gets even worse. Autism services in Minnesota went from $1 million in 2017 to $343 million in 2024. That's a 34,000% increase. Where did that money actually go? Walz claims he doesn't even know. He was the governor and claims he doesn't know. Meanwhile, whistleblowers and brave Americans who tried to stop this theft were allegedly told they'd lose their homes, their jobs, and that their children would be tracked. And this is what happens when Democrats prioritize protecting their voting blocs over protecting taxpayers. 98 people indicted, 85% from one single community that just happens to be a key Democrat voting bloc. Coincidence? Jim Jordan doesn't think so, and neither should you. And speaking of national security failures, there is another crisis the legacy media is desperately trying to hide from you. We are tracking a developing story out of Washington, one the mainstream press does not want you to see. As Iran destabilizes the Middle East, the federal government just made a move that could reshape America's entire security posture. And here's the truth that they're hiding. Our nuclear submarines, our warheads, our next-generation power grid, all of it depends on uranium, and we import almost every single pound of it from foreign adversaries. This isn't just about energy independence anymore, patriots. This is about survival, because a nation that cannot power its own military doesn't stay a nation for long. That's why smart investors are looking at atomic minerals, trading under ticker symbols ATOM and ATMMF. With domestic uranium production becoming a matter of national security, this could be the opportunity of a generation. Do your own research. You'll find a full briefing that has been prepared just for Next News viewers. Link below. Look into atomic minerals and understand what's really at stake for America's future. Now let's get back to the absolute demolition of Tim Walz, because it gets even worse. Here's the part that should make your blood boil. When Republicans pressed Walz on why payments to the fraudsters were restarted after being stopped, he claimed it was because of a court order. But then the court itself had to issue a statement, something Jim Jordan says he's actually never seen before, directly contradicting the governor. Walz got caught lying under oath, and now we're seeing the receipts. But that's not even the most explosive part. Wait till you see what Attorney General Keith Ellison said to these fraudsters on a recorded tape. Let's go to, we have this from Lauren Boebert. Governor Walz can't identify the names of two Minnesota women that were killed by illegal aliens. I'm not familiar with these.
Walz, do you know who Victoria Eileen Harwell is?
I do not believe I do.
What about American Mafalda Tyer?
I don't believe I do.
There. These are Minnesota women who were brutally killed by illegal aliens in your state. You don't know who they are, so I would also assume that you did not attend their vigils or speak out to their families when they were brutally killed by illegal aliens.
I'm not familiar with both of these, no, Congresswoman.
No, just the hard-hitting.
Not familiar with these women. Of course he didn't go to attend their funeral. There was no political capital to be gained. Not at all. Not surprising, though. Bubber exposes Walz's shocking ignorance about victims in his own state, but that is only the beginning. Wait to see how deep this corruption scandal goes. Representative Byron Donalds just torched Tim Walz over the billions handed to fraudsters in Minnesota.
Peggy Flanagan is, there are accusations that she was intimidating whistleblowers. There was a meeting on April 12th of 2024 where she went on stage and publicly denounced whistleblowers in the state of Minnesota, calling them losers in their mother's basements. Is this the type of treatment that your administration allows for whistleblowers in Minnesota?
I'm not familiar with that.
Are you aware of any intimidation of whistleblowers in the state of Minnesota?
No,
there are 30 whistleblowers who have given letters to this committee on the record saying that they have been subject to intimidation by your administration because they were trying to stop the fraud in Minnesota.
I encourage them to go to the OLA and the independent sources in Minnesota that are
the
open to do
OLA.
that.
You're the governor.
No, the OLA is the independent.
But sir,
Office of
you're the
Legislative
governor.
Auditor.
Why don't you take responsibility for what's going on in your state?
We do take responsibility. None of those people, I'm telling you, I have no knowledge.
But you
of
lost
what we
billions of dollars of American taxpayer money in the process, Governor Walz.
Oh, I have no recollection. I don't recall standard Washington speak. House GOP Donalds dropping bombshells. Tim Burchett also mic dropping Minnesota AG Keith Ellison.
PIQC is accused of $300 million in fraud as significant assets, yet no charges and no attempts to recover taxpayer money. I'll remind y'all, $19 billion. I was a state legislator, and I can remember when our state budget was $19 billion. This is money that's been stolen, and it will not be recovered, and you all are to blame, and every dadgum one of you all ought to step down. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back before.
Keeping it short and sweet there. Every one of you should step down. Not going far enough there, Mr. Burchett. Not at all. They need to all be doing a perp walk. Burchett delivering the takedown, comparing Minnesota's state budgets, but the autism funding numbers will just blow your mind. 2017, $1 million was spent on autism in Minnesota. 2024, that number exploded to $343 million. That's a 34,200% increase, and Governor Walz pretends not to be aware. Let's go to Nancy Mace.
How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2017, Governor?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, Congresswoman.
Did you prepare for this hearing today? Did you
I
do
did.
any preparation
I
for
take
this
Congress
hearing today?
seriously.
And you've seen the numbers about autism fraud in Minnesota. So we're going to do some Minnesota math with you today, okay? Are you ready? How much money was spent on 2017 for autism in Minnesota? How much?
I don't know. I wasn't the governor.
Okay. Did you not just say that you prepared for this hearing today? $1 million, okay? A quick Google search or using your AI could tell you $1 million was spent. How much money was spent on autism in Minnesota in 2024?
I don't have the number in front of me. As
Were you governor in 2024?
I was, but I'm not the
Okay,
head
so
of the
your
HHS.
excuse before that you didn't know what 2017 autism numbers were because you were not governor, and today you can't answer the numbers about 2024 as governor, and you still said you prepared for this hearing today. It's unbelievable. $343 million was spent in 2024. What percent increase is that from 1 million to 343 million? What percentage increase is that?
I'm not here to be your prop. Go ahead and tell me.
Are you governor of Minnesota or not?
Yes, I am. I'm not.
Well,
I'm
when
not
I'm
a prop
governor of
for a
South
member of
Carolina,
Congress.
you can sure as hell bet that I'm going to know the math. The math is 34,200% increase, an increase of 343 times what it was in this time period. Do you know the number of children in Minnesota?
I know that Minnesota ranked as a top 3 state for children in the last year.
What is the total population in Minnesota?
5.7 million.
Okay. What is the total population of children in Minnesota?
I don't have the number in front of me right now.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I know 400,000 were cut out of health care last
Okay,
week by
that's
the
not-
actions you made.
Are you governor of Minnesota?
I am.
And you don't know the number of children
I
residing
don't have
in
the
Minnesota?
specific numbers.
Oh my God, what a bumbling asshole. Oh my goodness, I am so happy to see these guys getting grilled. But they need to be grilled in a court of law. The autism I mean, yes, I get it. Yeah, they're under oath and they're doing all this stuff here in Congress, but you know what I mean, right? We want to see the perp walks. The autism spending explosion shows the scale of the fraud, and Jim Jordan about to corner Walz on the reason nothing was done to stop it. Jim Jordan questions Walz over whether fear of political backlash stopped the forceful tracking of fraud.
How many people have been indicted in your state right now? Do you know, Governor?
I don't have those numbers with me.
You don't? 98 people been indicted. You happen to know how many are Somali American?
I don't. We don't investigate or prosecute people based on ethnicity, religion.
Neither do I. We shouldn't do that. But Mr. Megan is a Somali American who just said that the core one of the concerns was this is a core voting block. And I just want to know if you know how many of the 98 people who have been indicted in your state are Somali.
I don't. Their ethnicity is not my concern.
85% of the people indicted were Somali American, a key voting block, and I think that's what drove this whole thing.
Their nationality is not my concern. Still pulling the DEI crap. Jordan exposing the political calculations behind the fraud cover-up at the House Majority Whip is even more damning evidence about the personal connections. Here he is grilling Keith Ellison over his relationship with the Somali fraudsters.
Attorney General Ellison, is there an organized crime ring operating in Minnesota? I'll answer for you, sir. Governor Walz believes there is an active crime ring in our state. In October, the governor said, quote, "We've got an organized crime ring in Minnesota. I think it's been going on for years." Moving on, Mr. Ellison, I, along with millions of Americans, have grave concerns over your alleged relationships with Somali fraudsters who have since been charged and convicted of federal crimes. I'm sure you are aware that over 90% of the defendants charged in the Feeding Our Future fraud case are of Somali descent. In fact, you have personal knowledge of these people. There's a 54-minute audio tape of your meeting with these criminals in December of 2021. And during your meeting, they complained to you about increased scrutiny of their nonprofits, and you told them, quote, "Of course I'm here to help," end quote. It's on the internet. Anyone can listen to you say that.
And of course, we've played some of those clips, and they're absolutely damning. The personal relationships between officials and fraudsters runs deep, and now we have official confirmation. It was all deliberate. House Oversight Committee concludes Tim Walz's administration knew of the fraud and failed to act. John Solomon reports House Oversight Committee's bombshell conclusion proves intentional negligence. But wait until you hear how Walz got caught lying under oath. Check this out. Walz exposed for resuming taxpayer payments to Somali fraudsters at Feeding Our Future and then lying about it and then getting corrected by his own state's court.
The payments are restarted. Why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments?
Well, Chairman, we did tell you. And Feeding Our Future grew because of the pandemic. And
I didn't ask that question. I said, why didn't you tell the truth about why you restarted the payments? The payments stopped because there were concerns, obviously, it wouldn't stop the payments. Then they're restarted a month later. What was the reason for restarting the payments?
my understanding was the agency believed that the court had required them to make those payments.
And that was false, wasn't it? You repeated that. You said that, didn't you? You said that's why the reason. You said the reason you restarted is because the court ordered you to do so. Is that right?
I don't believe that is settled yet, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, I think it is, because the court did something that I just don't. I don't know if I've ever seen it. They issued a statement saying you were wrong in what you were saying. This is from the court. It says, Feeding Our Future versus Minnesota Department of Education correcting reports and statements by Governor Tim Walz concerning orders issued by the court. Here's what the judge says. Governor Tim Walz told the media that the Minnesota Department of Education attempted in payments to FOF because of possible fraud, but that Judge Guthman ordered payments to continue in April 2021. Next sentence. That is false. So you said something that wasn't true. He further states this, Judge Guthman, the court says this, Judge Guthman never ordered the Department of Education to resume payments to Feeding Our Future in April 2021 or at any other time. So I want to know, why didn't you tell the truth?
Congressman, the attorneys at the Department of Education interpreted that differently. Both of those judges are no longer on the bench, and I think that
the
interpretation.
very first sentence, the first 7 words. This is not some unnamed source talking to the New York Times. This is not some anonymous source talking to whatever your Minnesota Star Tribune or whatever your paper is. This is the court speaking. First sentence, first 7 words. Due to inaccurate statements by the governor, Ramsey County District Court judge has issued and authorized this following news release. That's pretty straightforward. So the court's lying?
I can't tell you, Congressman, but the interpretation was that-
Somebody's lying, because you can't say the court ordered you to restart the payments, and then the court says we didn't order you to restart the payments. So either you're lying or the court's lying. And I'm just asking you, which one is it?
I just simply know what the attorneys at the agency believed, that it was a misinterpretation.
Could
And
it
I would
be-
note that those
Could it
payments.
be you were trying to hide behind the court, Governor? Could that maybe be the reason why you issued the statements you did and why the court had to do something you never see done before? They issue a press statement saying you're wrong. The governor is wrong. His statement is, their words, not mine, false. Could that be the reason?
That was not the interpretation of the attorneys. And you know, court work, you can appeal those, Congressman, as you well know. I'm sure
Is it all about politics, Governor?
No, it's about taking care of our people, which
Yeah,
Minnesota
these
does
programs
better
go
than
from
anyone
$3
else.
million. The behavioral intervention program went from $3 million to $400 million in 5 years. The housing stabilization went from $2.6 million to $104 million. The integrated community supports went from $4.6 million to...
Good God. Tim Walz, man. That guy could have been our vice president. Think about that. You saw him get destroyed for lying about restarting payments to known fraudsters, but the most chilling revelation is still coming about what happened to the whistleblowers. Not only did he know about the fraud, he threatened people trying to expose it.
Ms. Rarick, you spoke about the retaliation that many have experienced in light of trying to expose the fraud and the corruption happening in Minnesota. Can you speak more to that and what people are experiencing when they try to sound the alarm on what's happening?
Right. So that retaliation's been going on for quite some time. If you look at what Faye Bernstein said in a news report or Newsweek article back in 2019, it started for her, and she was heavily investigated. She was actually moved to a different state agency. She was, retaliated against in every kind of way you can think. What's happened now is retaliation has escalated, and now it's you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your home, we're going to track your children, we're going to make sure that you can't get a job anywhere else in state government. And for Minnesota, that means probably Minneapolis, St. Paul, Hennepin County, Ramsey County, Duluth, Rochester. You can't get a job anywhere that Democrats control.
That's pretty terrifying. Do you think that's going to prevent people from continuing to speak out on the issue?
Well, we are really hoping that with all of this light on it and, telling people that this is the retaliation, that if something like that does come to fruition, right now it's threats, although some people have been fired, that they have a little bit more ability to speak up and speak to us, and that we can cover them in that way. But it's been really, really bad, and it's been bad for quite some time.
Good God. That's how they treat whistleblowers in Minnesota. So let me tell you what this really means, America. This wasn't incompetence, this was a choice. Tim Walz and Keith Ellison had every warning sign imaginable. They had whistleblowers screaming from the rooftops. They had investigators raising red flags. What did they do? They allegedly threatened the whistleblowers, lied about court orders, and kept the money flowing to a key Democrat voting bloc. Jim Jordan said it plain as day. 85% of those indicted come from a community that's critical to Democrat elections in Minnesota. They didn't stop the fraud because they didn't want to stop the fraud. This is the deep state protecting its own, prioritizing political power over American taxpayers. And remember, this is the man Kamala Harris chose as her running mate. This is who the Democrats wanted a heartbeat away from the presidency. So, Patriots, this is exactly why we do what we do here at the Next News Network. The mainstream media will bury the story because it destroys their narrative. But you deserve to know the truth about the people who want to run this country. Tim Walz got exposed today. Keith Ellison got exposed today. And the American people are finally seeing what happens when Democrats go unchecked. So share this video with everybody you know. Drop a comment below telling us what you think should happen to officials who allegedly cover up billions in fraud. Smash that subscribe button if you're sick of the establishment protecting its own. My question for you, should Tim Walz face criminal charges for what happened in Minnesota? Simple yes or no. Let us know below. And if you want to show your America First pride, check out the Next News merch shelf below this video. Thank you for standing with us, Patriots. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power. They don't want you to see this. The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.